today what I would like to show you is how the plants grow as opposed to how they would plant them during agriculture, and give you some insight into what plants are used, how to harvest them, what they look like in nature. Very basic, very simple stuff, nothing complicated. The first herb that we come across is wild rosemary. Oh yes, don't pick anything, give that to me.
Are we listening?
They soak the rhinoceros in alcohol to extract the herb. Yeah, it's used for chest and colic. Also, it's a very good herb for burning. As opposed to pepper, this is a better one for cleansing of your place. And pepper is used as a medium or a gift to your ancestors or your spirit guide. So that you would burn normally during prayer and meditation. It's to invoke the goodwill of your ancestors.
And why is it called rhinoceros? What does that word mean?
Yeah, rhinoceros, right? Wherever you find rhinoceros felt or rhinoceros felt, this is the staple food of the rhino. So the rhino used to be here once upon a time. We had Cape lions as well, we had elephants, we had like a whole range of wildlife that was being slowly and systematically eradicated for urbanization. Nice way to put it.
So what is that one?
Slangbos and moerbos. So you can have a look.
So what's slangbos used for?
Slangbos as a tea. Vrouwelijke binnenteelen, period pains, maagkrampen, stomach cramps.
And moerbos?
The moerbos, that one in particular is a douche for women, so you boil it up and you sit over it and cleanse you.
Great.
Which one is that? Moerbos.
M-O-E-R-B-O-S. Okay, I'm gonna come a little bit closer.
It's beautiful. Moerbos. Yeah. I wonder why.
Slangbos.
Kathoringwortel. It's not the plant itself, but the root which is dug up. It's very pale. That you use basically for purging. No any other reason other than that. In smaller doses, it's a very good remedy for heart ailments like angina heart or weak heart, so it helps with the heart pump blood. Story behind the reed, the reeds are normally collected to make baskets. Yeah, it's not a medicinal thing. But I used to also collect reeds not to make baskets but to make bangles for every trip up the mountain, so that has changed over the years. I don't do that any longer. Other uses for the reeds are roofing, but mainly the thinner ones it's baskets. Family. You find there's in South Africa there's a large variety of them, so there's no set kooigoed that you are going to use for burning. In KZN you get one that smells more like thyme, looks more like thyme, it's green, it's got yellow flowers. We have that one here. This one doesn't occur as much in KZN, so it's the same plant, it just looks different. Yeah, you also find that there's also misinformation with regards to plants. Sometimes the dealer wouldn't tell the person what the proper name is of the plant or what the proper plant is. So on occasion, but not very often, we have discrepancy about the orthodox kooigoed. It's not a big deal. But other plants like the bulbs and that, it becomes more important because bulbs, roots, that is more for spiritual purposes, also roots and bulbs are much more stronger than leaves or like the top plants, top growing material. So reasons for that being secretive is the spiritual aspect of it and what you can do with it. There's a lot of stuff you can do with roots and bulbs, which is awesome. Mental ailments, weight loss, water retention, you name it. It can chest problems, taking phlegm off the chest, enemas, kidney ailments. A lot of the roots and bulb treatments you can do in a short period, but you also need time to recover after that. Which is something Western medicine doesn't do. Like we normally pay thousands just to be put into a hospital. That is fly agaric, the mushroom over there. You basically try it out. It's not indigenous, it's an English thing because of the pine trees it grows here. Highly toxic if you don't know the right doses. It also brings on a nauseating effect, but the trip itself is nice. Yeah, you can like have out of body experiences with it, astral projections. Seriously, it's cool stuff. Yeah, but there's another one, orange one, which is the Lucas indigenous. That also tends to grow. Yeah.
Wait, David, right in front of you, there's the other mushroom. Orange leaf.
Shrooms. These are sticker mushrooms. Very cool. Yeah.
Take it.
Not toxic at all. Yeah, there's no poison in it whatsoever.
Are you sure?
Positive.
Is that pressure? What's the pressure? No. No one will be able to breathe.
You're not killing us though. Yeah,
It doesn't taste very nice, but it does taste
Okay,
like
we'll leave you guys on.
Yeah, it tastes like mushroom.
like for us, right, when we started working with herbs, we do a lot of hiking, hitching. So we travel across country, hitching lists from different people. We were fortunate to live on some farms, different areas, like nice communities in the country as well. On the one particular farm, in Tsitsikamma there was fly agarics, there was also Boletus edulis. We collected a lot of that because we were at least, I think, 5 to 10 km from the nearest shop. And we dried out the mushrooms, so you had dried mushrooms, you could have fried out as well. We were basically never, the good example is the cuckoo, cultivated cuckoo when it dried out, it was yellow, wild cuckoo when it dried that's about the biggest difference in the cultivation is the taste of the smell.
In actual fact, a lot of sort of traditional healers, sangamas and nyangas believe that if plants are cultivated, they actually don't hold the same amount of power, and that they need to be obtained from a natural environment. And some people will even often say that they didn't pick a particular species even though it's of the same sort of population. The ancestors communicated with them to actually pick a particular herb. And you often think, is that scientifically valid? Is there a reason for that? But there are particular species where they've found that there's a lot of variation, sort of intra-species variation in terms of the chemistry. And one of those is Artemisia afra, umhlonyane, or wormwood, Valdeals. It's very good for sinus problems. It's also very good for chest problems. And that particular species has a lot of variation. Plants that are growing within the same population will have a different chemistry. So, and it's really quite amazing. You would think that those plants would probably be very similar in their chemical constituents. So I think it's actually quite interesting. Carla, what about the rusters? Do they also have similar practices in terms of harvesting particular plants or species or times which they might feel, you know, are important for getting those plants?
We harvest seasonally, number one, because we have a lot of knowledge on leaf herbs. The roots and bulbs we find out in the country or in the veld. We don't have any particular belief system as such, but what comes along with working with herbs, right? We have most of what we call mentors than we do apprenticeships. We don't do apprenticeships as such. We are mentored for a short period of time with different people. A lot of what we learn is basically about caring nature, it's about conscious thinking. You know, if you're going to take, if there's a bush, how much you're going to take, you know, take enough so it can regrow. Also seasonal, we try not to harvest when plants are flowering. Book is a good example, because it's in high demand. Many times drugs would actually harvest with flowers, with seeds, you know, but that's economic stress on the people itself. We don't have much vehicle workers as such. That is more of the older people where we get our knowledge from as well. They've got more of the myths and legends and the folk tales, like why you harvest stuff. Like your roermenie, that's a good example. They say if you rub it on someone's feet and they won't walk away from you. This woman said it works, you know, I'm like, okay, it works. African flaming lily.
So people use the bulb.
The bulb, yeah. Small quantities, internal bruises, broken bones, you can apply it externally as well. In larger quantities, drinking it acts as a purgative, very, very powerful, so you end up vomiting for at least 3 hours, but you don't, not continuously, it comes in
Sporadic,
yeah,
intermittent
in waves.
purge.
Purging is a very, it's a very common thing in traditional medicine. With the rastas and the bush doctors in particular, right? What we've lost is purging methods, enemas, and the steaming, because it's still strongly related to sangomas and the witchcraft aspect, which is basically, personally I think it's just very immature to be thinking like that. There's a lot of medicine out there that you need to know how to administer, because there are people which come to you and they're looking for stuff to purge, they're looking for stuff for enemas, so you need to be able to help them irrespective if you are doing the trade or not.
Okay, so how old do you think this bulb is? I mean, how old do you think this plant is?
Maybe a year.
Okay.
So, without any essence, they approached Stellenbosch municipality. This farm was allocated not to them in particular, but for people to harvest. How it works is you can get a permit twice a month. You can harvest as much as you can carry. Only 8 people are allowed to harvest in the month. So those were the rules. Today I think there's nobody that's actually going for the permits anymore, and there's still people harvesting here, but I don't think anyone is going to collect permits and going for permits anymore. The guy that originally was on the permit system project, he left. He didn't leave the municipality, he left the office where he was at, where you get the permits, about 2 years ago. So there's someone new there. Cape Nature National Parks, they would like to go this way, where they can offer land to people for harvesting. There's a few problems that they encounter with that Cape Nature really doesn't have land to give away, nor does national parks. It belongs to the government and the country, so they cannot freely, you know. Whereas municipality, city council, their public works, they actually have land at their disposal that they can give out or rent away. Yeah.
Is there any fees that you pay somewhere, or is it free?
No, there's no fees. For this particular place, there's no fees. This is actually this is the only place in the country where you can actually acquire a permit for harvesting in a natural environment. Yeah. What they want to do to date is, right, this is Cape Nature in particular, they want the Rasta group to organize themselves. They issue X amount of permits, so they only know of 200 people working with herbs in the area, so they're only going to issue 200 permits. But what if you've got something like 500-600 people that work herbs? You know, they were speaking of a fee eventually. Eventually we have to pay to come and harvest here. You know, what else did they want? The other thing they wanted is they don't actually have land for us to harvest, nor do they have a program in place. If we should harvest, what we do allow is we have to get a GPS and start tracking where we're harvesting. A lot of the guys turned around and said, no, that's not our job. We're not here to do GPS tracking, we're here to harvest. So in that regard, there's a lot of people not actually making an effort, or they don't really want to, because we don't have to do work that Nature is supposed to be doing, not paid for it. And also, if you're going to do GPS, it's going to hinder your harvesting period or process. Because it's regarded as illegal, we normally up here before at sunrise, and we're out of the mountain by midday. That's the routine. The reason for that is Cape Nature National Parks, they don't wait until set a standard regulation in this country where you can harvest for what you can harvest. So you'll find in some places you're not allowed to harvest buchu, but in another, like around the corner, you can harvest buchu. So what they do is they leave the buchu where it's illegal and they go to where it's legal. So the guys have been able to find loopholes where they can harvest things that are in need as opposed to things that are in abundance. But the other problem is national parks, Cape Nature, besides not having like a set standard, doing things, we see a lot of problems with things like over-harvesting as well, because they're not monitoring the amount of people going in and what is being taken out. Also Cape Nature's become very administrative more than hands-on and field work. So there's national parks as well. Yep. So yeah, that's the history behind this place, and now it got to be able to issue permits. So let's see what happens in the next few years. Like I said, to date, no one's actually going for permits, but people are still harvesting here. Evidence of that is plants that are actually, if you walk around, right, and I can, if it's possible for me to show you, I'll show you plants that have been harvested. There's also a particular way of harvesting as well. People tend to harvest so you don't actually see that anything has been taken from the plant or the tree, which is a lot better than it was done a few years ago. So now there's less evidence of people being in the mountain.
What happens when you get caught?
But worst case scenario, they can arrest you and you can do, I don't know, it's a very touchy thing. The guys have been arrested, but they haven't done jail time. So I suppose they lock you up in a room or something ridiculous. But they don't actually do the problem with being arrested is your stock or your harvest that they confiscate. It gets thrown into a storeroom or into a warehouse at barn and it gets rotten. So there is no I don't know, it's like basically you're making a bad situation worse, because they aren't actually contributing to the preservation or the conservation of the environment or the plants whatsoever. And yeah, it's unfortunate that it's always the people that need the plants the most that get blamed for a lot of the destruction. So that is also it's a touchy subject, because there is people that don't know how to harvest. These guys that actually rip out the whole root of the plant altogether. It's also times to harvest. Winter's not really a time for harvesting, you don't really get much. The other thing about winter harvesting is your crops more than likely get moldy, you're not able to dry them. Guaranteed within a day your plants get moldy if you're not able to dry them properly. So winter times is not really a good time for harvesting.
This year is 9.
Yeah?
Better than when I came in.
Yeah.
Great, you gotta go fast as well. Everybody's gotta go.